Welcome to Random Sidecast, the podcast where we are fully on the hype train towards Horizon Forbidden West, which at the time of this recording is only a few weeks away.
Ooh.
And for our first episode, I could not have asked for a better guest. He is in need of no introduction in this community, but I'm going to give him one anyway. He is a staple of Horizon content creation in the gaming space across YouTube. Someone who I'm very sure in the not too distant future will be cashing in on that gold play button. So please welcome JorRaptor. Dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Random Side? What was the name? I really liked it.
Random Side Quest. Yes.
Oh,
it's Random Side Cast.
Sidecast.
Yeah,
of course. Awesome name. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm hyped to talk about Horizon, of course.
Right? I mean, we're like so close now. It seems like, oh my gosh, between the initial announcement trailer and everything that came out.
5 years, man.
So I kind of wanted to flash to Horizon Zero Dawn for a second, which, like you said, was like 5 years ago. And I just wanted to touch base and see, like, what about that game originally just got you so hooked that, here we are today?
Yeah, it even started with the whole announcement at E3 2015, where it was like new IP, Guerrilla Games. I did like the games they made before, of course, Killzone. And there were already rumors about like a red-headed female protagonist, robot dinosaurs. We saw some concept art leak. And I was like, okay, so curious, is this going to be a multiplayer game? Killzone was, of course, really multiplayer focused. And then to just see that world, and I'm always like a huge fan of dinosaurs, and I really think that there are not a lot of dinosaur games, which kind of weird, actually.
Right.
And then to have this unique take on it as well, to really have this game that you got this new console, you want to have the most beautiful games ever, right? And then to see this, and to see them also deliver on that when it came out, it was like, are they? Because it was really when they made first-person shooters, which were great. I like the Killzone games, but I thought Killzone 3 was, Killzone 2 had like a sort of peak, and then Killzone 3 was more of the same, and then Shadowfall I did not even finish. I was like, this feels like a launch game, right? But yeah, they were during that time already working on Horizon Zero Dawn, and it was like, can they pull it off?
Right. It's a big swing for them. It's like the first open world.
For sure. And they did, and how? Like, the extra layers you discovered while playing were insane. And of course, the Monster Hunter, I like those games, but my big problem with Monster Hunter at one point was I don't really have someone to play with, and I want to continue through like hunting these creatures, but I'm hitting this wall. While in Horizon Zero Dawn, you're single player and having this big story around it. And what I also like is that a lot of the sort of games that we have are established franchises. So having this big new IP that has the same sort of lore and things going on that could really go and become like a new Game of Thrones or whatever is super exciting and doesn't happen that often. So to see them really nail that was just insane.
Right. I mean, because I'm right there with you. It's one of those, especially when you get so used to games that come out like unfinished or need like a ton of work, and then you just have this one almost like slide under the radar a little bit, and then it just is this masterpiece that, game of the year contender besides Call of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild. But I just remember being just so taken with that. And I'm a big Monster Hunter fan as well, so that's one of those things where I kind of wanted to, because this game, kind of flashing to Forbidden West now, we got a little bit of info on the arena mode.
Oh yeah.
Which seems super cool, but they also have like, and you touched on it a little bit in your last video, kind of surrounding the whole leaderboard thing, the online leaderboard. And I'm kind of wondering what your initial thoughts are, because you brought up a good point, is like, where does difficulty come into the game? How does that affect your scoring, and how's that weighted? So do you think this not only is going to be really kind of game changing for them, but do you think this might be like leaving the door open a little bit for something like a Ghost of Tsushima Legends mode or something, where it's not like a single player, but they do have a multiplayer option?
Yeah. And that announcement for Ghost of Tsushima really came out of nowhere. And I think it opened the door for all the Sony IP to do something like it. We, of course, before that had Naughty Dog that already next to their single player games did the Uncharted multiplayer, then the Last of Us multiplayer. Now they're even doing their standalone Last of Us thing.
Right.
So it really seems, because Sony's looking at their catalog of games and they have these amazing single player adventures, but they're really lacking in the multiplayer front, especially with Microsoft launching Halo Infinite, doing really great, Forza Horizon doing great. They got Gears. So it makes sense that Sony is looking at their studios and like, hey, we want to do something multiplayer as well. I'm not sure if the arena is like is a hint to what they might do. I think Ghost of Tsushima Legends is a bigger step. And we know, thanks to the No Clip documentary, that Horizon Zero Dawn was first thought of as a multiplayer game,
Right.
A co-op game, but then they changed it because it would nuke the quality of the overall experience too much. So they changed it back. And yeah, you would think now with the PS5, hey, maybe we can bring that back. But it's of course, they already have all these robots. They already have these elements. And what we hear about Forbidden West is that it has way more depth. Your customization, the workbench, the way you can like remove components, and they're now way like you really have to use certain components. Of course, in Zero Dawn we had that a little bit as well. You had to watch your heart of a Thunderjaw heart, I think, as well. That you then had to use to upgrade equipment or buy it. But it seems to go to the next level in Forbidden West, and that's of course another, I would say, step to maybe this grind or something like that in a multiplayer focused game. So I personally, I hope they do it. They have another team working on something, but yeah, it could also be because that's what I really thought when I watched your amazing complete history of Horizon. Like everyone who hasn't watched that yet, check it out, especially like before Forbidden West if you want to get up to speed. And I'm also like this sort of the sort of what happened before Horizon Zero Dawn took place is so interesting. They could make a game about that as well,
right? Yeah,
of just how that happened and have that be a shooter or whatever. Or so there are so many options in the Horizon universe. I do think that a co-op game because that's what we see. Ghost of Tsushima Legends, they really looked, okay, what are the assets, the things we already have? Let's make a multiplayer game around that. Of course, the Mythical World was really new, but yeah, the gameplay was really similar to the single player's adventure. And I would imagine that they put so much time. We know that how much time they put in these machines. And why not use them if you already have them for a multiplayer environment? Of course, they have to change things and make them like suitable for multiple players. Although they are saying in Forbidden West, we have more NPCs by our side. So maybe they're already like looking at that and how, because we, of course, I during my last stream, I did the Red Maw fight, where you also have Talana helping you out. And that's, of course, yeah, that's how a co-op situation would be, I would imagine. So with Forbidden West potentially having more of that, I could totally see them do it. I would love it. What do you think?
Yeah, it was funny because, I love Tsushima as well. That's like, oh man, talk about just like a beautiful game. And like you said, it just kind of came out of nowhere, the Legends mode. And then I just played it all the time because you're right. They took existing assets that they had and they put a completely new spin on it. And, it came with the game, which was also shocking. And it was a decent amount of content and work that they put in there.
And they didn't announce it beforehand because that's what makes me still like optimistic that we might see it for Horizon as well. They want to get Forbidden West out there. And then at one point, hey, want to do more with Horizon? Or
in the world, I like kind of the whole breakdown that they did where they kind of took like the main character Jin and they took his skills and basically just kind of separated them out into those classes. So I could totally see them, especially with all the new weapons and new traps and things like that, because I could have seen before how that might have been a little bit challenging, being that it was just so bow centered with a couple of different, with the slings and the traps. But
and the skill tree is now way more diverse as well. You have like warrior, trapper, so machine master. So yeah,
I would be super down for something like that, because that's like my one, because I really love single player, like RPGs as well. And yeah, the only like thing that you wish you could do a lot of the time is like get a friend in there, whether it's like 1 or 3 or 4, and you're like, oh man, if we could just like do this together, that would
Yeah.
be, oh, that would be just the best.
Yeah, it's just the game you already played, but then with friends. I think that's way easier also for Sony, because I think if I look at it from a business perspective, they have PlayStation Plus, they want people to subscribe, but for all their exclusives, you don't need it.
Right.
And Ghost Shima Legends comes along, and then those people might be like, hey, I need to subscribe now. And that's what I think their strategy kind of is. So I hope they apply it to Horizon as well. And speaking about the arena, like as a sort of separate thing in Horizon Forbidden West, I think that's so awesome, because in Zero Dawn, the respawn rates for these machines were already great, but having like really dedicated challenges that they thought about, and that you really have to likely, okay, I have to focus on this machine first before I take the other one out, and maybe use maybe shoot the tail off from this machine, use it against the other machine.
Yeah.
I can already see like some really cool things they can do with that.
Yeah, some people who are just like, that's like their thing, it's just another avenue for somebody. Because they talked a little bit about it in all the interviews, where it's like there's a lot of different avenues to enjoy the game. You can just go through and appreciate the story, but some people hop in there just for the combat, just to do this, and now there's like a really big avenue for them to just get their fix over and over again, and then kind of reach those new pinnacles, because it's going to be timed and and scored. So that's exciting. I think that's pretty cool for them.
For sure. And how are you gonna play? Because you're of course like really into the lore. Are you gonna immediately read all the data points and stuff like that? Because then your first playthrough will be very, very long.
Yeah, that's that they talked about, like, oh, it's gonna be like, what was it, like 70 hours or something like that for the platinum, or close to that.
Yeah, I think it's like similar to Zero Dawn in terms of like main story, but I think there's way more side content, and of course you have way more verticality, so you have like way higher spots. And then in Zero Dawn there were some like lakes that was just like wasted spots, but now you can like dive and explore that as well. So
yeah, for me, my first playthrough, because that's the one thing, because man, Horizon does such a, they're really sneaky. It's not like they put everything that's important right in front of you, or that could be important. So part of me is like, I remember some of the first videos I made, and I had like 5 subscribers or something. So I look back at them, and I've had to like make videos being like, no, actually, this is what I think now, because I knew a lot about it, but I didn't know the full picture. So yeah, I think the first thing that I'll probably end up doing is going into my menu, scrolling all the way over just to see how many data points there are in this game. So at least I have like a good indication of like, okay, this is what I have to find, because there's just some things that are super sneaky, like the Odyssey project, which pop in like 4 data points maybe, or Vast Silver, which are like in 3, that you could totally pass by, never know it. They're not even put into like quests or anything, but could potentially have really big impacts on the game in general. So you are right. My first playthrough is, I don't think it's going to be as entertaining as a lot of people's playthrough. It's going to be like one person, like
you're not going to stream it, because then you will be like reading all the time.
Going to be like, all right, guys, just take a second. I'm just going to, I got to read what's going through. Speaking of which, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what your thoughts are, because I've had my tinfoil hat on for like 5 years now about what I think is going on, but we got a little bit more context. We've known about the Blight for a long time. We've known about the storms for a long time, but that story trailer like dropped some serious bombs at the end that I just totally took me off guard. But just to kind of start, what are your thoughts? Because now we know from the Gaia cast that the Blight has been happening for the 6 months between the game. And Aloy in that time has been trying to solve whatever problem that is. So that poor girl has not gotten a break. She is going right into the next
we
job.
saw that in the comic, right? She immediately left after the ending and just went out. And Delana was like, "Where are you going? I'm going after you."
Yeah.
So that was already interesting.
So what are your thoughts on some of what is the threat that you are most interested in kind of uncovering, or new detail?
Yeah, I personally really mostly care about the sort of things between the tribes. I think in Zero Dawn that was what like brought me to Zero Dawn, and to learn that there was like this extra layer that, especially through your video, I learned to understand even more.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, really, because there are like so many things going on, and and I'm personally more a player that is focused on the combat and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, to have that in such an interesting world, it is very interesting. So yeah, I think that the Odyssey project that came up way more after the story trailer is interesting. Tilda is of course an interesting character, waiting for Aloy there with the diner table ready. Yeah, I 6 months after the game, we of course know we had the tease with at the end with Silence. So he I'm just curious because they are pretty secretive. There were hands-ons where they did not play the first part because of reasons. So they would just immediately start at the Daunt and then go to the Forbidden West. So yeah, I'm just curious. I also, because I did watch your breakdowns for the Tribes trailer and for the Machine trailer, but I did not watch for the story trailer because I was like, okay, but maybe you're right. I think you might be onto something, and I just want that reveal for myself.
Totally understand.
So that's where I'm kind of coming from a stories perspective, where I just want to be surprised.
Yeah,
I think we're onto something. What do you think about the theory that the Desert to Nacht has this sort of camp, right? With is it a spaceship or what do you think it is? Like the spear sort of I forgot what the name was, like the spear lance.
Scalding Spear.
Scalding Spear. Outpost.
Yeah, so I think that actually that's also the nice thing about Horizon. A lot of the locations are real, right? Yeah. I did a whole series because I actually live in Colorado, so I actually went around and like visited a bunch of the places and like filmed them and stuff like that. If you haven't checked it out, that was like super. I had a ton of fun doing it. So I went to like the real location of like All Mother Mountain and Red Echoes and all that stuff. So it's also interesting to see because you kind of have to look at it like some of the locations are new or don't exist yet. Like if you go to in Horizon, if you go to Devil's Grief, which is Denver, it has a lot of the existing structures, but that giant building that's right in the middle, that doesn't exist yet. The people who made the devs looked at like plans for the future and then like put that in place. So trying to figure out like what exists, what's new, what's their reality. Cause I think Scalding Spear is a geothermal farm where it's like one of those places that has like a ton of like different mirrors that kind of like shine. That's how it generates energy. So I think there's a good chance of that, but also just in the story trailer in general, they had that whole, the space launch site, which I do think the Odyssey is going to play a role in that. I think a lot of people are just, I'm sure you, as you know, I think many people are just hoping in some way or another, they're able to find some version of Ted Faro just so they can kill him themselves. They're like, oh, he has the
fault, right? He has like his bunker.
And you didn't watch my breakdown of the story trailer, right?
No, not of the story trailer. Okay. But yeah,
I won't speculate if you don't.
We
want
know
me
that
to.
he could be out there somewhere.
Yeah. Spoilers if you watch it. That I talk about that a little bit, but I'll keep my mouth shut. But yeah, I really do think the Odyssey is most important when you're talking about bringing back Apollo, because because it had the alpha build of it on the ship. And I think like if I was a betting man, I would say that out of all the reasons why they would still have the Odyssey in the story, that's like the biggest one. And since we see Gaia in that story trailer, it's like maybe she found something. So
we know that she will be and not the Silence. Like Silence will of course obviously still be there, but maybe have a sort of Silence role where she will give Aloy sort of clues or where she needs to go during certain parts.
I'm really interested in, just because also like for me, as much as like I'm interested in all the big story lore, I'm also a big fan of the tribe stuff as well. Like that was always the challenging thing for me, because people would ask me, it's like, what do you know about the Tenakth, or what do you know about the Utaru, especially like back in 2018, and we knew like a little bit, but a very little bit. So
I didn't even know, because the Tenakth, that was that they noted that during the Gaia cast, that was like one of the prisoners, right, during one of the side missions. And I was like, did we ever see the Tenakth? Because I knew about the Utaru character, But then, yeah, and it was like that's where they based that whole like sort of forbidden. I mean, they still had the lore, of course, already, but sort of the art and how these characters look. That was very interesting. I totally missed that. I mean, I did play the mission, but I wasn't like looking at that.
You know, you never know like what will have significance from, because they'll just put things like, they had that Forbidden West data points, and then they're like, we're going to make a whole game based on, this region that we kind of mentioned a couple of times. So that's like you said, that's the one thing where before I start making any videos, it's like, I really do want to make sure that, I have the full scope of information kind of laid out, because if you don't, then you'll have somebody who, luckily the nice thing about it is, as far as a lot of the people who watch my stuff, they're also really knowledgeable too. So they'll point out things, and I'll be like, oh snap. And that kind of gets me going towards the, like, I remember a couple of videos back, just if you remember the initial release trailer, like the part where Silence is looking over and there's just those like 3 random falling stars. And people are like, oh, that's interesting. And then somebody pointed out that, on the ancient vessels, like those mugs, in the first game, like the logo of the Odyssey project is eerily similar to that. And that's something that I might have never picked up on my own, but when somebody pointed out,
that's awesome. Yeah, for sure.
So from a gameplay perspective, oh no, actually, did you have something?
I wanted to ask you something about the new tribe, because I think it's Alpha, right? That's
I believe so.
Any theories about that? Because
that's one of those things where I was also kind of, I would have assumed that there was another tribe out there besides the Utaru and the Tenakth, because in the data point of the Forbidden West, which is written by the accounts of multiple people, there is a section where they're like, and who lives where only the sun goes at night, and they talk about a couple of different people, and the ones that they mention living at like the farthest western side of the Forbidden West, like by the Isle of Spires in San Francisco. They have people like riding thin dark boats and things like that. But it's so funny if you look back at the tribes, like so much of the people that they become is based off of like one thing that just happens to happen, right? Like the only difference between the Karja and the Nora is that there was a man who found a book, and half of the people liked what the book said, and half of the people didn't like what the book said. And then it just evolves over hundreds of years into these totally different societies. So it would really only take like one person finding like a focus, for example, and then the entire, if a tribe finds a working focus like early on, it could really put them centuries ahead of the other people, because the focus is such an interesting tool. It's like a universal translator. It's a long range communication thing. You can use it to find more focuses. So I think that was the most unique thing with Alva from that trailer, because she has a focus, and then you look at this thing that's on her head, and people are like, well, that's not a focus. But I actually disagree, because in the lore, because focuses are kind of like smartphones in the Horizon universe. So like different versions of the focus come out.
Aaron's Farrell, they all get one too. So there should be an explanation for that as well, right?
I would imagine for Aloy specifically, it'd be pretty easy for her to find focuses. You could go back to the Cradle of Luthia 9, and that place is literally like chock full of focuses that nobody ever got to use because it was locked. So she could go in there and get, I don't know, probably 100 or so focuses and just be like, here's a focus for all my friends. But I think the one that Alva has is probably just an older version of the Pharaoh focus, because the one that Aloy has that she found in the bunker and that Silence would have been like the latest gen, because there's the last ones that humanity made. But you could find like a Pharaoh focus of a previous generation, and I think that's probably what Alva's wearing. So that tribe, I would say, if I was gonna like bet on it, I would say that tribe probably found some kind of old world technology early on, and have been just really more open to, what the world has to offer. Because you could be like the Nora and find that thing and be like, nope, don't want any part of that. We don't want any part of any technology. Or you have people like the Oseram who have more gained knowledge, less through discovery, but more through just like tinkering. So I bet Alva and that tribe would have been far more likely to their predecessors find a focus and go from there.
Yeah, because they really were teasing, I think, in the Tribes trailer that they were also the most dangerous. And when I saw Alpha, I was like, okay, maybe she's like sort of an outcast or just some sort of. But that's of course, if they really have the knowledge already from way earlier than the rest, then of course that would be huge. But I did not really see why she would be so dangerous. So there might be way more going on with that.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny. That's, I think, especially when you hear about the devs talk about like tribes and people, it's like Aloy is far less interested in helping like total tribes, but she finds people that she likes and then kind of helps them through their thing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be like the Karja, like if she had found the Karja before Avad, like she would have wanted nothing to do with them because the red raids were so terrible. But I could totally see Alva being like this more considerate and level-headed person than the rest of her tribe. Because imagine like if you were a tribal member and you knew so much more than anybody else that you have ever encountered, you probably have like an air of superiority, and you'd probably, you know, look down on these people. And in that, you might become a little bit more dangerous, especially with what you know. So I'm really interested in finding more about that tribe and her as a character specifically. Because that those anytime the tribal structure, like one of my favorite parts of Zero Dawn was the Frozen Wilds, because you got to find out so much about the Banuk, and they're like my favorite. So if you can get that treatment on any tribe, I'm like super into it.
Yeah, and they seem to not only apply that in maybe a potential expansion or something, but really already in the game. So that's gonna be cool. I have so many more questions because I'm also like, but I don't know if you want to like continue to.
No, I'm here for it, man. Yeah, I got questions for you.
Because there's one Sun King who also goes to the Forbidden West and never returns. With like a clan. They must be theirs, or maybe like generations likely further, but there must be some sort of Karja outpost, you would think.
Right? No, I'm 100% with you there. I believe oh my gosh, I think it was the 7th Sun King, Ariv, who and that's kind of an interesting part where people talked about the Daunt, where a lot of people's like, oh, they don't really get that in the Horizon lore that's significant to that person, because he tried to push through into the West 3 times, but was pushed back at those canyons of the Daunt each time. And on the 4th time, he was able to push through, and then he was never seen or heard from again. His brother became king, built Sunfall, and then he decreed the lands beyond it to be the Forbidden West, which is where, so all of that's really significant to the region in general. So I was really interested to see more of that. And I'm also, because I believe, because you've read all the interviews and stuff, as far as like apparently Regala has like a vendetta against the Karja specifically.
Which is interesting.
So that could be when they went into the Forbidden West in the Red Raids. Even though all we know
that would be the most logical explanation, I think, that their parents or something, or someone like that died or something.
Right. So it could have been during that time. But it's funny, like the only records that we have for the Karja in the Forbidden West have them getting it handed to them by the Tenakth. So that's kind of interesting. But even before that, the Tenakth like tried to invade the Sundom, and they were defeated during that time by Renan. So I think it could be during the Red Raids, or there could be like a long-standing Karja like sub-tribe out there that has been at war with the Tenakth, because I find it's like a lot of people have a vendetta against the Karja, like a lot, and justifiably so. But I could totally see. I really hope that we find out more about Ariv, whether he was successful or not, because he could have gotten out there and just been destroyed by somebody or something. But
there must be. There are like some things in Zero Dawn, or this was more like, because we also have Bryn, of course, the blood machine drinker. You would think he shows up at some point.
I would hope so.
I think that would be a missed opportunity, but they don't. They know. So I'm sure there are a lot of things from Zero Dawn, especially those that mention Forbidden West, that we will find out.
And the cool thing is too, they mentioned that in that Forbidden West data point that there are drinkers of machine blood in the Forbidden West. So it's not like Bryn, if he found those people, would be like, oh, what are you doing? It's apparently pretty commonplace, at least amongst some people. So he'd probably seem a lot less eccentric out there in the West if he made it out there, you know, before the events of the second game.
Then you have a sort of Banuk sort of tribe type thing there as well, likely, right? While they haven't really talked about the Banuk, that they really seem to gotten their Frozen Wilds expansion and of course their Zero Dawn quest and stuff like that, but no mention really of the Forbidden West. But
I think the thing about it is you could really have any tribe in the Forbidden West, because I think the one thing that people it was really only forbidden to the Karja. It was a Karja decree, but if you're Oseram, you don't care about what the Karja King thinks. Or if you're Banuk, you don't care what it's like. If you want to go out there and try to make it, it's not like, at least to the best of my knowledge, there was no other tribal decree that would stop people from going, beside the fact that it's very dangerous. And
isn't it not like the Nuck territory, so you maybe have to like negotiate with them to pass through or something? Maybe
and you know, it's inherently dangerous too, because we find out in the trailers and stuff that, you know, they're in a tentative peace right now, but the Tenakth clans are almost always at war with each other. So the whole tribal structure of the Tenakth I'm super interested in, because they seem, you know, for being one tribe, they're so vastly different from each other. So, you know, whether it's through like Kotalo, who seems to be a really cool character, and I think they said that his tribal chief was named Hekaro, which there was like an IMDb which I personally thought
it was way back, right? Or
yeah,
not?
Yeah,
it was like a long time ago.
And I had to I speculated on that because it was in all caps, and the only things that are in all caps generally are sub functions or AI. So I'm like, oh snap, is this another AI? But I think maybe the guy who wrote it just had the caps lock on. So I read too far.
That happens.
What do you think is going to be like from a gameplay perspective? Because I mean, I couldn't think of anybody better to talk to about this. There's a lot of like tried and true strategies for Zero Dawn that everybody implements, you know, jumping for slow-mo, rolling and evading. But it seems like Guerrilla really stretched their legs in not only creating new weapons, but, you know, more maneuverability and more mounts. Like, what do you think is going to be the biggest difference between how we come into the game and really end up playing it towards the end, like between Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West?
I really hope that we come in as Zero Dawn players, so use those tactics, and that they still work. Because what I love is that we have the Shield Weaver still. It has no power anymore. We learned that, but hopefully we learn why. During the game, and I think it would be awesome if we could restore it, and then near the end, it would be like the perfect solution for. Yeah, you still have this armor. It would not make sense for Aloy to throw it away, because the most powerful armor when she goes into the most power or most dangerous region. But yeah, to then have it at the end again would be great. I hope that certain things, we already know that concentration is a skill you have to unlock again, which is kind of weird in a way. But yeah, I hope that when I jump, I slow down the time and that I can do my silent strike again immediately and stuff like that. But then near the end, with all the new tools, you're playing the game completely different.
Right.
So that you as a player, just like Aloy, evolves into this. And I hope that we can create builds, because what really happened with Zero Dawn was this is the best tactic. Yeah. You can apply it to every machine. And when you figure that out, it was like, okay, I'm just using the other weapons for my variety to have more fun.
Right.
But it would actually be cool if there are really multiple tactics. And I hope that overriding machines and having them fight alongside you plays a much bigger role. We know we have the Machine Master skill line, but being a hunter, like in many games, you have a sort of pet with you, and it feels like something they easily could do with Horizon as well. Of course, we had some options, but when the machine was destroyed, which happened really fast, you would have to look for another one. And the corruption arrows didn't really work either, because they would still attack you. So I hope that there are more ways for that, and that you come across someone who has the highest arena score, because that's why I think the arena is going to be great. If there are really a lot of playstyles, then you're going to be like, how did you get that score? Well, I spec in Machine Master, so I overrid. I did this and this. Oh, but I'm more a melee fighter, so I go in and maybe stun them or something like that. I really hope there are. We know 6 skill lines, 20 skills, and maybe even more sometimes. Different valor searches. I think you can only have one active at a time, so it will be really like, that you can make cool combinations that really play different. And what a lot of these sort of, I also play a lot of Assassin's Creed, and there has to be some sort of realistic sort of nature to it. It doesn't make sense. While it does happen more often that these enemies get a bit more tanky, doesn't really make sense. Like you're slapping this guy with a sword 10 times before he dies. But in Horizon, they can do that. And I think there are so many ways to really hopefully build your character and improve it. I love what they said, that you really have to go out and hunt more, which should also be just great to push you to. Because at one point in Horizon, it was like, why would I fight these enormous machines? It would only cost me materials and health and herbs. And what I did, because I still wanted to record combat, I saved before I went to the Thunderjaw sort of lair, and then I reloaded that save because I would otherwise waste all the wires and stuff. And
blaze for me, I can never find enough blaze.
If you would use a lot of blast links and stuff like that, then you would be running out of those all the time. So I hope that spending those resources is actually worth it this time. That you actually because the mods were the only sort of thing that would really enhance your playstyle, but high chance that you would get crappy mods and then it was all for nothing. So I hope they look at that and really improve that, and that's, again, by the end of the game there are multiple viable playstyles, and that it's really like what suits you. You can do that.
That would be really cool, because even getting back to, like, I remember they, like, it was almost an afterthought in Ghost of Tsushima how they're like, oh snap, let's introduce loadouts. Like if they came in with the loadout option, oh man, that's like it's a small quality of life improvement that like really shines. I would love
playing
that
the
too.
Iki Island stuff with that feature was really great, but I always feel that that's just something they can get away with or something, because they of course have millions of other things to worry about. They got to launch the game at some point. But I would imagine, and that's why I'm curious, will there be New Game Plus at launch for this game? Or will that again be something they add later? Because if you have 6 skill lines with 20 skills and you get 1 skill point per level up, you're not going to unlock everything. That's going to be impossible. So, and with New Game Plus, I did like how they made it so that you could like rebuy items, and then it had a different mod slot or an extra one. So it added some extra layers to that. But what if New Game Plus enables you to make your like spec in way more options? So then, that could be very interesting. So I'm curious if, again, those features that we saw post-launch in Zero Dawn, if those are at launch here.
Yeah, I hope so, because it seems like the Guerrilla's at least really open to feedback. Like I felt really bad for them for that PC port, because to the best of my knowledge, they didn't do it. Like they had like another company, like
I think they did it themselves.
Did they?
Yeah. But it was the first Sony PlayStation PC port ever. So because for example, because the Sony companies, the studios, they really talk to each other. And for example, for the Days Gone port, I would imagine they would call Guerrilla, hey, how did you do it? And now they of course bought Nixus to really work on PC ports. But back then, I think they did it themselves, but because they didn't have the experience. And then it's of course a PS4 game to PC, which has way more options. I would imagine that it's but I think you were talking about what they did, right? To improve it.
Just more along the lines of like they were able to accept the feedback, work through it. They didn't get defensive. They didn't pretend like it wasn't there. And they which I can't imagine how hard that would be too, because you're trying to do that and build Forbidden West. I'm sure they had different teams, but you only have so many resources to allocate to different places. So I was really happy that they were.
I felt bad. There was a blog post saying we will not do any PC updates yet. I think it was already in a great spot because we're focused on Forbidden West. They still did some here and there because they had some sales and more people started playing, but I think they totally like put it into a great spot, and then they moved on.
Yeah, which is really good, because I've seen other companies, even like I said, just like put out a game that, you know, by a lot of people's standards may not feel finished, or and then they kind of rely on different patches and things like that. I rarely pre-order games ever anymore.
There's no need to.
Yeah, but you know, I did do
only
it
Horizon.
for yeah, right. I did do it for this one because part of it is like, you know, I love this game, but also I have a certain amount of trust that has been earned from that company, because you know, when I got the game, it's not like it was super buggy every time. You know, every once in a while a Stormbird kind of freaks out, but other than that.
But look at the Stormbird, like how that moves, and I'm still like 5 years later, I'm still like, what the heck? There's no other game that has like an enemy like that. So
yeah,
I and we talked about it already a little bit before we went live, but I hope there are still some surprise machines left.
Yes,
because the Rockbreaker was the only one for Zero Dawn.
mm-hmm.
And you had that Blood on Stone, I think, side mission where you would just go into an arena, machine is causing havoc, and then machine you never saw before. Whoa!
Yeah.
And we are, of course, like really on top of all the trailers and material. So it's really like, if they show, because I think it makes sense that they at one point showed the Utaru sort of machine, but that still doesn't have a name, because I think it's really like connected to that story. But still, it would have been cool if that was like a surprise. And I hope there are still some surprises.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm also kind of interested because they talked about it a little bit in the first series of comics with Talana, like those dark armored machines.
Yeah.
So like, even if you like, if the machine,
was that a Claw Strider or
it was, and I always kind of thought like
Revenger or something. It was like
I was always kind of interested because you brought up Red Maw. I really loved just the thought of having like a legendary machine, like a machine that is like just head and shoulders above the rest for whatever reason. And then you had the claws beneath in the Frozen Wilds. So if you could have more of those in this game, kind of like those, like you talk about, like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, where you go to the corners of the maps and fight the legendary ships.
Mm-hmm.
So something that is even more next level than that. I would love to see more of those, and like those alpha machines, those dark armored machines.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just saying it's even if it's, because I do hope that we haven't seen all the machines yet, but I would love to see even further variants of the machines that we know about.
Yeah. I think one big thing that they're doing, I think, which also because, of course, in Frozen Wilds, we had the demonic machines and the corrupted machines in Zero Dawn. And those were more like, we changed the color a bit and now they're suddenly weak against fire. And that was like kind of the thing. But I think what they're already doing in Forbidden West by having these Regala machines, they're completely different from the ones you encounter in the wild, and likely way harder to take out because you actually have some human enemies to worry about as well. So I think that's already a way cooler take than changing the color. But I do agree. When I see a Thunderjaw again, I know what I have to do. So I hope that in Frozen or Forbidden West, they change something, or the disc launcher, when you shoot it off, maybe it explodes in your face. Like something that when I'm doing my tactic that I'm used to, I can't like get away with that anymore. Or this Thunderjaw knows about, it has some other tactics or just new moves.
And lore-wise,
that would be cool.
Yeah, and lore-wise, you could make that make sense, because it's like Hephaestus is always trying to create the next generation of hunter killers. So it could absolutely be like, well, they're catching on to this trick, so let's throw this at them. So it's not like it would be a huge reach for them gameplay-wise to justify it within the story. Because sometimes you're like, are you just doing this to make the game harder? It's like, well, yes, but we can connect it back so that way we're not losing any continuity. Because that would be a terrifying. I do remember, I thought it was imagining it until I looked in the game guide where like after a certain amount of kills on machines in Zero Dawn, they like get more armor.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't remember being a Strider this hard to like bring down before. Like it had, but just like hidden mechanics like that I would love to see as well, whether it's like new
it was very
weapons.
subtle, but indeed, normally you would hit like just their regular sort of form, and then you would deal way more damage, but now it would like decrease if you hit the armor plate. I totally forgot about that. That was indeed a cool thing they did. Um, yeah, I'm just I hope that, because that would be great, right? If the machines from Zero Dawn come back, but in a different form. I don't know if I want like the Fire Claw to be even more powerful, but I do think
Brutal.
it will be in for, we haven't seen it yet.
Mhm.
And did you see the machine that Errant was fighting? That's a new one,
Yeah,
right?
he's funny. Before that, I thought it was a scrapper, but after you
Yeah,
see it again, it's not. It's like it's got
no.
that three like the triple opening mouth or whatever it is.
But
So
maybe it is like an evolution of that machine that became way more deadly, and that's what we're up against. That would
yeah,
be interesting.
yeah, I would happily see something like that, just to have some like the familiar things that like it can scan you and find where you are, but then yeah, being surprised when you hop in the game. Like I do think you're right. You do want to have a sense of familiarity to where you're like, okay, have some strategies, I can lean on that a little bit, but also there are some things that have absolutely changed, and
Yeah,
I have to change what I'm doing to make sure that I keep up with the game. So yeah, I'm
yeah.
right there with you on that one.
And do you think there will be flying mounts?
Oh, that is the question that everybody asks and wants to. Yeah, well, it's funny, like thinking back into like early builds of Zero Dawn where they had like
Yeah,
they wanted to, but then they
I
kind of
think you
opted.
there Ayla was on a Stormbird actually,
Yeah.
right? Like one of the
Yeah, I think it was like in an early build of Meridian, because I think if I remember
yeah.
correctly, they wanted to make that like even bigger, like a hub. And it only makes me think of like, imagine if you built Meridian with the technology now, how much even more grand it could be. But anyway, I'll enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, it's like,
PS5 exclusive. We
yeah,
can go even crazier.
the
Like
remaster.
yeah,
I think the shield wing is probably their like compromise sort of thing, where because I'm not sure, like the Sunwing I think would probably be the one that you would
yeah.
fly.
And that other machine we saw really briefly, the sort of bat type machine,
Yeah,
or
I remember seeing that and I'm like,
yeah.
that's not a Stormbird.
No, but that's yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know, with like the Sky to Nacht and like
Mm.
one, because there was a question, like I said, one of the interviews, I think someone asked it as well, and I think Matthijs de Jonge just didn't want to say yes or no. And there, I'm not sure if you ever played World of Warcraft, where you had these sort of flying mounts that would
Right.
just take you from one. Maybe that is it. But
Yeah.
we have free fast travel, so or maybe yeah, I don't know, because they can of course not override machines, so that would be kind of weird. I don't know. I'm just not like expecting it. I don't
Yeah.
think it will be in the game, and I actually because like 5 years ago I didn't know what I was doing, so I made a video. Can you fly mounts in Horizon Zero Dawn? And I would just like figure it out with the viewer, and then I would just go to a Stormbird, override it, and then it would just like fly above me and kill some people.
Right.
But yeah, I will make another video like that. A lot of dislikes on that, but no, but yeah, I hope so. I'm more hopeful for more melee weapons. That's another thing that I'm like,
yeah.
I would be shocked if we don't have more melee weapons, because yeah, we know a lot, but it's really early on
Yeah.
all the time, and we haven't even seen like proper underwater exploration. So
Yeah.
they're keeping a lot of things close to their chest. Of course, we have still a few weeks, so maybe they will show more. I still think they might do like a state of play with some gameplay. Maybe by the time it's up, it's already announced or
right.
something.
That's
But
yeah. I'm because I hope, because that's the one thing that I find to be the most exciting, but also the thing that makes me the most nervous is the underwater piece. Because like I remember, I'm not sure if you played The Witcher 3 or anything like that, where you could swim, but it was like you shoot it with your crossbow and it dies. It was not the most dynamic. And if you're making it such a big part of the game, like you are in Forbidden West, where it's like you're going into these places, I really hope that they nailed it down. And it's not so much that I'm cautiously optimistic. I think if they were going to do it, they're going to try to do it right. But for my money, I haven't really seen outside of something like Subnautica, who really crushed it. But that was like the whole game.
I don't think there will be combat. So that's, I think, the big difference. That it will really be, even if you're like the best player, you got the full loadout, underwater, you're like easy prey for all these machines. So I think that's sort of where the maybe sort of stealth comes in. because that's what I didn't like about Monster Hunter 3. That was like the big new thing. We have underwater monsters now, and then the big one you had to kill for the urgent quest to get to the next part was underwater, and you would like swing way slower, and it was I didn't like that, but you could not get away from that. So I'm actually happy that it's not like that you actually have to fight.
Yeah,
So
far more strategic.
it might be like a nice change of pace, I think.
No, I'm right there with you. Just totally off topic. What was your main in Monster Hunter? Like, what weapon was your weapon of choice?
Longsword, because it was like a cool combination between still having like a cool heavy or like a long big weapon, but still being kind of fast. And it had like a very easy combo. You would build up this bar, and then after that you would just hit R, and then you would slice, and then that was kind of my combo. And what I really like about, and that's what if they ever do a co-op Monster Hunter type Horizon experience, I think they can nail the ranged combat way better.
Yeah.
Which I never really liked in Monster Hunter. I always felt I would sometimes like go online and I would see someone with a gun, and I was like, but you have to reload. Like it's way slower. It's not great. You want to hit people with a melee weapon, and because they're now improving the melee in Horizon Forbidden West, I think that they can really add like something cool to having like really viable ranged options while also having really cool melee.
Yeah, I was right there with you with the ranged in Monster Hunter, because I like the one thing is like I'd see people do it really effectively, but like I was a hammer and hunting horn main, so I was definitely with you where get in there and bust up those skulls and knock them dizzy, but that I am hoping for that. Like I remember seeing like all of the Carja swords and wishing I'm like, I wish I could use that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, and our boy Kotalo has like a cool like sort of sickle sword as well. And with them really like teasing that side missions have way better rewards, I hope that it's not like that he out of nowhere pulls a random weapon out of his like pocket that he never really used before. But I hope that it actually also makes sense, or like there are some characters are going to die, of course, in this game, and hopefully, I'm not gonna say maybe Aaron dies and we can pick up his hammer. Like I don't know if that it doesn't really make sense to have a hammer with Aloy, but that would be cool, right? In Monster Hunter, you have a hammer type weapon, so I hope that it makes sense for the character as well, and not that it's just this is a weapon that makes sense for Aloy, and I have it here and I'm giving it to you. So
I think because that was the one thing when people would ask me like, what do you hope to see more of in Forbidden West, and I would say like improved melee combat. I think you're right, they've really gone above and beyond to kind of go with that. Whether we get more diversity, I think the Valor Surges are really kind of good way to go about that. But I
hope there's not just one OP one that everyone has to use. That's always the case with those sort of things where like, why aren't you using that one? I like that, and then you're like not getting to the high score of that arena or something.
You're like, this is the meta, right?
Yeah.
I did want to ask you a little bit, like, what is your experience with VR? Because I like don't know anything, because that's
really
okay. Well, that I just haven't.
It's not accessible at all. Like I did try a lot of PlayStation VR. I actually got one sent home around launch that I had to give back, where I was like trying they had like a sort of Wii sports type situation, right? Where it was like just a lot of demos for the console. And one of the things was the London heist one, where you would like prepare for before you went into a heist, and it's really transformative. You put it on, and this guy was in front of me in the game, and he was like smoking a cigarette, and I smelled it. Well, it wasn't real.
Sure,
there's something in your brain happens. Yeah. And I really think that. And just selling VR is so hard. You really have to try it for yourself. And they, of course, have to show way more for the Horizon VR game. Right. But I can imagine that we are now Aloy, this hunter. She can handle herself. And I think she get a little more cocky in the sequel. She's like, I saved Meridian, and I now have this goal. And if you're not helping me, move aside, right? And if you in this game play someone completely different, who's like afraid of all these machines, and you're like sitting in we saw like in a boat, and you have this huge tall neck. I think they can do way more with the immersion and the skill of these machines. Where with Aloy, they oh, the Stormbirds, I can take that out.
Right.
But if you like are a random character who's not a hunter and see them fly over, or you're getting attacked by a Slitherfang, I would imagine that's kind of creepy. Oof. And I think that would really that would really like be awesome in VR, I think.
Yeah, because I plan on getting whatever comes out for I think PSVR 2 for Call of the Mountain. And yeah, I do think it was a good call to not have it be Aloy, because you're right. I think it's being that it's more immersive, and she has the most unique view of the world in the whole game, because she is who she is and she can get into all these places. But if you're just like some person from the 31st century, it's your world is far different than how Aloy sees it. Because I would imagine that just because of like the UI, you'd probably have a focus or something that you could activate just to kind of help you out eventually, to find a way to give you one. But I'm really interested, and I wanted to see what your thoughts, like what would you hope to see? Like if you were like, this would be my ideal VR Horizon game, what would be some of the things that you would be like really adamant about seeing? Because I think I played Super Hot like twice, and it was great. But that's like
that's awesome.
Yeah,
but and Super Hot does something really well, and that's where VR. I haven't played the Half-Life game. Like that should be like amazing. But one big problem with VR, and y'all see that with Supermove, is that when you walk, it doesn't feel natural. Like that's why you have like a lot of these. You stand still, and maybe you can like duck left or right and shoot like that. But the moment you walk, it doesn't make sense, because you really are immersed in the game. But in real life, you're just sitting down. So I think the on rails, what we saw with the boat, makes a lot of sense, because you're not moving yourself. So I really hope that they do stuff like that, or that we maybe go out hunting or something, and that you see these machines and that you maybe have to track them. And then I think they can do a lot of cool things. I think just like getting another angle and just another view on this world through different eyes. And I think we're Karja, right? Like maybe
the people that you're with are at least Karja. I could tell you that. People ask me, it's like, do a video. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You're in a boat. There's some Karja. There's a tall
30-second trailer. I agree. So that would be awesome, really cool, like to learn more about the tribes by existing, because like you said, Aloy cannot be that character. But if you are a person who like grew up in Meridian, for example, and then just the day-to-day life there, and you're like sitting on the table and you see everyone walk by and you get some food or something. And what is cool about VR is that you can grab everything, and especially with the new controllers from PSVR 2, and we of course saw that with the DualSense from PS5 as well, you really get more feedback. And that's what's really great about VR, that you feel even more immersed when you can actually interact with the world. And I can see that happen, that you're like sitting on a table and someone's like making a dish or something, and you can like grab a glass, you can maybe drink it, you can like move some things around, I don't know. But you can just do a lot of things in the world. And see just the Horizon world, because I still think they are going to do a movie or a TV show at one point. And I just think that's gonna be like really, really awesome. And just having this other take, but then in VR, is gonna be very, very unique.
I think just the scope of the world and the things that you see, probably, what we see in the game don't even do it justice, because it's all from a third person perspective. But to be able to feel like the scope of watching a tall neck walk by, and I imagine that's going to just be unreal. It's going to be sweet.
And I'm curious when it takes place, because that's of course very, very interesting now as well. And one question about Forbidden West: do you think we go back to the world from Zero Dawn?
That's an interesting question, because I think the only game that I've played personally that really did that was Red Dead Redemption 2, where they had the Red Dead Redemption map. And as cool as that was, like, if you're going to do that, I really do hope you populate it with things that are worthwhile to do, because I do remember going there and there wasn't like a ton to do, like after you complete Arthur's story. And so it was cool. I would imagine that if you were to go back to any section of that world, it would most likely be Sunfall, because
Yeah.
it is it would probably be the most eastern part of the map that you would get, because it's the most western side of the Zero Dawn map. And it's significant because for a long time it's considered like the beginning of the Forbidden West. So I would not be like, I wouldn't be surprised if the game opened up with like Avad and the unification of the Karja, because the Shadow Karja were just like in shambles at the end of the first game. But I would say that if you were, it'd probably be Sunfall. And if they do kind of open it up to you, I hope that they revamp things, they give you things to do that are new and worthwhile. Because as cool as it would be to go back, and it was in Red Dead Redemption 2, it felt, just because the rest of the game was so full and vibrant, it kind of felt empty.
Yeah. I totally get that. Yeah, it would be just weird to have Aloy like that start in an area that is not from the first game and immediately go to the Forbidden West and not return, while she does have a lot of characters there that care about her. And of course we know that Erend and Varl will follow her. I'm still like not sure if you remember or played the Pokemon Silver and Gold games.
Oh yeah,
you would
I have
also
a
go back.
tattoo on my arm, man.
Oh wow, okay, next level. I did not expect that.
My wife has a Lugia. Yeah, we're big nerds now.
Oh, nice. Okay. Ho is totally cooler though. No,
yeah, he's my boy. Because I played Red and Blue, but I didn't really play it. You know, you're just digging around, and then I was old enough for like Gold and Silver to actually like play it. But go ahead. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked.
Yeah, but there you go back as well, right? And then you actually go and do the gyms again, and that was like such mind blowing moment, and that's like kind of the problem, like, and that's what I always see when I'm like covering games very extensively. Maybe you're like thinking, oh, this would be amazing, and then, but the game is already great, but because we go in with this expectation. So I'm not saying that it's gonna happen, but if we go and see Meridian after the event, I would lose my mind. Like,
yeah, because you are interested to see kind of how like things, it does leave kind of, even though you like defeat Hades and the immediate threats done, like a lot of things are still up in the air for the people that you kind of come to know, especially Avad. So I would at least, like, even if you don't see it, I would like to know what happens. Like if somebody could tell you, or if you get news or something, you know, it could just be a couple lines of dialogue. I would like some resolution there, so it's not just like, no, forget about that, don't worry about that, we're doing this.
Yeah, we're now focused on this. I agree.
So I have some Discord questions that I got that for us that they were interested to ask. This one's kind of like the GaiaCast one. It's a little bit different. Champion Ashley asked, if you had to choose between 3 people to spend the rest of your lives with in Elysium, you have Varl, Erend, or Talana, who would you pick and why?
Damn.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
so that's why I'm throwing it to you first.
Yeah, nice. You already had time to think about this.
It's a good question there, Ashley.
Yeah, but it's different because as Aloy or as yourself, right? It is as because as Aloy, because she of course has that connection already. Like I don't know if I would connect to any of those, and I would like be looking at that, and then I would be like, okay, I'm gonna choose you. But I would say kill me, and then you survive, and then.
Well, here's a better question then. If you could pick any character that you enjoy from Horizon, that if you were locked in that bunker for foreseeably the rest of your days, for me, I would have to say from Zero Dawn, especially like from the tribal world, I would go with Petra, because I think she's like the most chill. And if you had to spend a lot of time with somebody, I bet she would be like really easygoing. Where I don't know, like if you picked some of them are pretty high strung. So I think that if you're spending a lot of time with her, I bet she'd be fun. you could like party a little bit. You could just like chill
yeah.
out and like talk. So my pick would be Petra, who I'm really
And
happy to see in the second game.
yeah, that's cool that she also like shows up, because I played that mission again on stream, and I remembered like a way bigger arc with her, but it was like a few
Right.
conversations and that's
Yeah.
it. And they throw her, and I can imagine that a lot of people coming in, they don't know her, and then she's like, I should know this character. So
Right.
I hope they can kind of balance that, and maybe through her side mission you kind of remember more. Yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. Yeah, I was thinking about Rost maybe, but
Ooh, that's a good pick.
yeah,
You get to keep him alive in your headcanon. Yeah.
yeah, protecting you, and then he can teach me to hunt. Hey, that's actually super smart.
That's a really good pick, actually. Yeah, you'd have stuff to do. You could like get better at things. I'm over here just trying to like make it by. You're like learning new skills. That's a good pick. So the next question, Kirsty asks, who we're gonna have on the podcast at a different time. If you could be an alpha of any subfunction, what would it be?
You already have a good answer on this?
I would say that if I was going to be the alpha of a subfunction, I would want it to be, you know what? I'm going to make a weird pick here. I'm going to go with, I would have Travis Tate's job and I would do Hades, because I think that honestly, like as designed, a lot still rides on every subfunction to work, but once Gaia has it like right, you're good. Like you can just like, I'm going to dink around. I'm going to have a good time. But, and also I think the functionality of that one is probably more straightforward, where it's like, if things don't get done right, then I'm making a reset button. And after that, I'm all good. So I don't think it's like the most like friendly one, but yeah, I think once again, I think you're trying to get better at things. I'm trying to skirt work in the apocalypse. I'm like, what's my, I see where our thought processes are now, I think.
I mean, it would be really cool to make some killer robots.
So this would be a good pick.
If I mean, if you like, it would be like a cool gameplay element as well, right? That you are the AI, and then other players have to fight the sort of machines you throw at them or something.
Yeah, and then you have to like design like more deadly to get around them. Like the reverse horizon.
Have like Metabot style parts that you can put together or something, and then make the cool machine to fight. Yeah, that would be my bet. My pick. I
like it.
Yeah.
And then we'll go with one more from Constellation Zero. What tribe's lore are you most excited to learn about? And I think all of them are really good picks. I think for me personally, I would have to go, as much as I'm interested to learn about the Tenakth, I'm also really interested in the Utaru. Like their whole thought process of how they view the world, I find to be really interesting. And also the fact like they're peaceful, but we know like,
they have like conflict, right, as well, but
so I think that'll be a really cool thing. And I think the character Zoe, I think her name is, the Utaru. So I'm
singer.
Yeah. So like that whole thing, like what goes into being a grave singer, there's, I'm really interested in diving into that culture, because I think we're going to get a lot of Tenakth. It's like, we got like 3 clans of Tenakth. We got Rebel Tenakth. It's going to be like a whole Tenakth party. So I am interested in a little bit more about the Utaru.
Yeah, I can see why. I also think that would be maybe the first sort of thing we solve before we really go into the full Tenakth thing, because that's really where I think Regala also kind of comes in. I think that those are good picks. I think I'm going for the Mysterious tribe, because that's something we just don't know a lot about. And I can kind of already, with the Tenakth, and I hope they still surprise us. I think the Utaru is totally, from the newer tribes that we know about, the most interesting.
Right.
Did you see the cool outpost, the settlement they have?
I did. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that
and that was on the PS4 Plus, right?
Yeah, Pro. Yeah.
Or
that's
Pro,
insane. Yeah, that's insane. So
I put it over the top for me. The whole tree houses, like in the satellites. It's like, you guys, Gorilla, you do such good work. That's so cool.
I think the Tenakth are, I think going to be great from a gameplay perspective, because I'm like really into the combat and the fights there as well, and if they're like really focused on that, because we learned about the melee fight pits.
I was going to ask you
And
about that.
the idea was that I think you're like fighting in like different settlements. In Chainscape, there's the first one, likely as an introduction, and then later on, likely in the Tanakh settlements, you fight more, and then the end goal is to really fight like a chieftain from the Tanakh, according to IGN. So that's gonna be awesome. So yeah, I would say the new tribe that we just don't know a lot about, and
Right. Yeah.
that I hope that we are surprised by. And I'm just curious, like Tilda, like sure, she's not like a legit tribe we think, but
Yeah.
she likely has some cool backstory and things going on as well.
Before we wrap it up, do you have any, like, because I can, you just let me know what you want me to say or not want me to say, but what thoughts do you have on Tilda? Because that was by far and away for me, like, I was like, oh my gosh, look, there's Gaia, and then that got like totally overshadowed
Yeah.
by this revelation. So
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts?
My immediate thought was, but that's why I also didn't watch your video, because I think that's gonna be a really good revelation, and I hope that even with you speculating that it's something else, that you are surprised as well. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But of course, we know that there were like, because I think we can kind of agree the Odyssey project likely still happened in some shape or form, right? So and there were, of course, a lot of people on that ship that then were sent to space to start a new colony. Maybe they were like, what? The world is not destroyed or something like that. And then they come back to kind of see what the heck is going on. And that's why she has this futuristic, which is kind of weird, outfit. And she looks very wealthy in a way as well.
Very put together, very clean for the tribal world.
Yeah. So
she has access to a shower.
Yeah, and maybe she learns about Aloy in a way, and of course her connection to Elizabeth. So maybe that's why they, that could be one thing. But yeah, there are of course many holes in that theory about why that doesn't make sense. But or maybe she's like a sort of hologram from space or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing about that. I try to, like, I don't know, talk to people about, because like whenever you're speculating or theorizing, especially with only having so much information, there's always going to be something that's like, well, what about this, or well, what about this? Yeah. But all it takes is one stroke of dialogue, and then or one, because that's, as somebody who loves the lore, that's always like the most cool but also frustrating thing, is you feel like you're one piece away, like one thing that could really tie everything together. And then so I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to think. I think a lot of people are kind of on that train. I will keep my thoughts to myself.
What's likely gonna happen. Thank you.
No, but yeah, like you said, I really hope that there's a ton of surprises, and I'm sure there will be. It's like, it's so crazy to think, like I said, at the time of this recording, we're just a couple weeks away, hopefully with no delays and things. They say it went gold.
No, it's gold. Yeah, no, it's happening. And so so you would think so.
Yeah, so that's like, okay, this is real now. Like on the 18th, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna fire up the 5, and then
we'll talk for another 5 years when we wait for the next one, right?
Right.
I also hope, and that's like another crazy thing, that's like the flying mount thing, the going back to the Zero Dawn world, and this one is kind of too crazy. Still want to just say it just for fun. What if at the end they have this co-op trailer or something like that, right? Where Aloy can't do this alone, or something like that, or just the machines overrun the Forbidden Way, or something like that, and then you see new hunters have to stand up, and you see Aloy train them or something, and then that becomes the co-op game, right? Where way more characters are capable of hunting and something like that. I don't know.
Well, you got me all hyped now. That sounds great.
Yeah, sorry.
That sounds really good. Yeah, that's the and the one thing that I'm like, because I used to play a lot of Destiny, and like I just really do hope that they keep it like PvE if it's co-op.
For sure.
Because I always feel like as much as I enjoyed that game, like I always felt like the PvE would suffer when something became overpowered in PvP.
Yeah.
So you would have like this really cool thing and you're like in raids or things like that. And then somebody would cheese it in PvP and then you'd ruin it for everybody else. So
but that's what they tried with Legends. I'm not sure if you
yeah.
tried the Rivals mode,
Oh,
which
so
was
good.
it was similar, right? Because they saw that okay, we have to have something and something repeatable, because that's I think where co-op games and PvE games at one point fall flat if you've done everything already. So having this, and that's why PvP is great, because every match is different.
Right.
So that's why I think they wanted to do something like that.
I do like the like competitive PvE model, because I think they did that in Destiny with Gambit, and then they did it in Ghost with Rivals. Because at that point you're still utilizing all these skills, but you're throwing enemies at each other. Opposed,
what
to
if you could like open cages and then in the arena of the other players a thunder just spawns or something like that, and then that would be awesome.
Yeah,
but
really,
like with
Yeah, what I'm saying is I want Horizon Legends. That's really all I'm saying.
That's the conclusion. We're hyped for Forbidden West, but let us talk about Legends.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that's for real. I'm on that for that's like my chill, just repeat, get all the loadouts kind of done. Yeah, I do love
with that gameplay against these machines, and that's what I liked about Legends as well. That's normally when you play a single player game, and you, of course, get all the cool items and you get really good at it, it's fine. You can't really take that and show that to your friends like, hey, I really practiced. And
yeah, right.
If Horizon does that as well, then we will have such a leg up versus all the noobs that just play that multiplayer game.
That's absolutely right, and that's the most important thing. Is we have beaten the noobs.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, listen, I have enjoyed this so much. I hope we can do this again.
Let's do it when we have played the game.
Yes.
And when you have read all the data points, I want to have a.
I will be. Trust me. That is exact. I pre-ordered the collector's game guide today.
Nice. Oh yeah.
That was the one thing that I was nervous about, because I have the game guide sitting right here, and there's like at the end of the book there's a ton of really good lore at the back of it that you would like never know from the game, like weird obscure things like Nora birthdays are celebrated by the mother and not the kid, and the kids by the mom stuff, and it's just like really cool tidbits that just in gameplay, it would be hard to shoehorn that in to like your play experience, but for people like us,
and there are just not a lot of games where that type of stuff is interesting. For especially like in this new IP, you want to learn as much as possible, and having these books that really were made with the developers is indeed super interesting.
Yeah, I've loved that, and I've loved the comics, and the Liberation arc is great. It's really, really cool. It adds a lot of flavor to one of the eras that I enjoy the most to learn about, which is the Red Raids. So yeah, I was super, super stoked about that. So the more extra media we can get out of this IP.
What if you played Talana in the co-op game and then with Aloy?
That would be my pick for to make it as seamless as possible, because their skill sets are pretty similar. They're both very agile. They're both, been trained as hunters for most of their lives. So like I would say
likely got to focus both like that. Yeah, that would be easy. Then they can then learn to override machines. I think Talana was no, she wasn't on a mount in art or something. No, we haven't really seen a lot of her. So that's.
I was gonna say that too. Like it seems like she was heavily featured. She got her whole comic arc. She was in the thing. So I still think she's gonna be in there. I don't think anything.
Oh no, she's 100% gonna be in there. Even in like the reveal art, she's there. But maybe. Yeah, because she's not like in the early parts. That's why we haven't seen her, I think, in the story trailer.
Okay.
That makes it even more interesting why she's in the Forbidden West, likely, right? If we encounter her there, because if Erend and Varl come with us, like what happens to
Yeah, I think that if you're going for like co-op companions, I think Talana makes a lot of sense. as much as I love Errand, I think that'd be hard from a gameplay perspective because
it's completely different. But I personally think that we will not control these characters. That we will just make our own hunter. I think that would make the most sense.
Yeah, I think people like the customization too.
Yeah,
so I think that would probably be the best case scenario. But yeah, I'm interested in all the returning characters. Hopefully, we see Bryn back there, like we talked about.
Yeah,
which is it's for those of you who are watching who haven't played that side quest. It's really easy to miss because it's
it's in a house in the corner somewhere.
Next to a mountain, definitely play that one because I'm glad that you're going through and playing a lot of those side quests.
Petra again and Talana I just did, and I will just go to Bryn, and I think who you meet from the shadow card, who's like escort and Uthid and the lady who's like going to escort
Vanasha.
Vanasha. I think she will be important as well. So I mean, they teased already the Gaiakas, like that. Those were some of the favorites from Guerrilla. So of course they're gonna come back, right?
You got to bring those abs into the Forbidden West.
We're gonna need them.
Right? But yeah, I could not have asked for a better guest for this first episode. I really appreciate you coming on.
And ask me anytime.
If for anyone who isn't living under a rock, where can they find you? What are you doing next on the channel? What's going on?
Yes, so JorRaptor everywhere. That's kind of nice when picking a name. It was nowhere, so I could get.
Don't mean to cut you off. How excited were you when you saw the Claw Strider? Personally.
Insane! I was immediately someone who I like work together with, who makes like all different art for the channel. I was like immediately make a raptor type Claw Strider, and like being able to mount it. The Striders and the Chargers, they were fine.
Sure.
But, like, we wanted something cooler, right? I was always like, because I think there was art of like a Ravager or like a Sawtooth that Aloy was riding. That would have been great. But yeah, finally we're getting cooler mounts. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. And there are different variants, like even an acid variant and a fire variant. So I'm excited to. I don't think I will kill them. I will just override them all the time. I'm not gonna kill the Claw Strider.
Yeah, you have to be the friend of the Claw Strider. Like it's a must.
Or maybe they don't like engage in combat when they see me. That would be great as well.
That would be a great Easter egg in the game. Imagine your playthrough is completely different than anyone else. Like they're charging and they just stop.
And then Regala, what the heck are you doing, Claw Strider? Eats Regala.
Hey, we're waiting for
finishes
Gorilla.
The game.
Make it happen. Well, I'll absolutely be watching. I love your gameplay stuff. Definitely helped me get better through the game.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
it's so weird because it's 5 years ago, like watching those videos, like, whoa, why did people enjoy this? Or like, but now we have more experience. And I also have like 2 people helping me with content. So that's
really awesome. I mean, talk about somebody who's been like a vanguard of the game. You've done such good work, and it's depending on you hope you grow and you hope you get better over 5 years. That's awesome.
For sure.
That's really great there, man. Well, once again,
same for you, by the way. Like, I think you cover such an interesting part of this game, and there's so much to learn. And I really think that with Forbidden West, a lot of people I even got friends like who saw the story trailer. They were like, what is going on again? Like, it's pretty difficult, especially for a game 5 years ago. And what you really see is, for example, Assassin's Creed kind of moves away from that. They're really focused on, you're a Viking. Oh yeah, we have this Isu stuff, but you're a Viking. And it seems that in Horizon, they're really like, no, this is like a crucial part of the game. And it's like Aloy's maybe even reason why she goes into Forbidden West, right? To like kind of, because she knows that her destiny. So yeah, I think you will like help a lot of people as well learning about that. And again, if you haven't watched the complete history, check it out. It's like a documentary. I did watch like in 30 minutes chunks.
I get it.
And then you're up to speed. And nice.
Well, that means a lot coming from you. I really appreciate that. But yeah, we'll definitely talk at the very least after the game's out.
For sure.
And yeah, that's going to be awesome. And happy hunting, dude. Thank you again for taking the time.
Yeah, you too. Happy data point hunting.
Oh gosh, that's all that the game guide's going to be used for. It's going to be the most riveting gameplay you've ever seen.
I hope it releases soon, because they said spring, right? So
I think it's March. So yep. Well, thanks again, man. I'll catch you next time. Appreciate you being here.
Goodbye.
And that brings our journey to an end. If you'd like to see more content like this, likes and shares are always appreciated, and if you're hungry for more Horizon lore, consider subscribing and checking out the rest of our lore library. Also consider supporting the channel on Patreon so we can keep creating content just like this. Check out the link in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and keep questing.